Parenting a child with OCD is one of the trickiest things a parent can find themselves doing, because more often than not, kids are going to involve you in their rituals, and you may not even be aware of it. So how do you empower your child and not your child's OCD? Stay tuned, that's what's up next. The biggest issue when you're parenting a child with OCD is not to get involved in your child's ritualistic behavior. And that could be super tricky because most of the time, you're not even going to know that you're doing it. So how do you help a child with OCD? Now, ironically, the biggest helpers are the parents. So you are in the best position to either really help your child with their OCD or, unfortunately, exasperate it. And that kind of sucks because you may not know how you're supposed to help. And even if you take your child to a therapist once a week or twice a week, most of the work is going to be happening at home. So let's talk about what to do and what to try to not do. For starters, the number one thing you want to do with your kids, before I even tell you what you should be doing, is educate your kid on what OCD is. I made a video that is purely for kids and their siblings on what the heck is OCD. So have your child watch that so they understand what OCD is and why they need to try to ignore or fight that itch to do a compulsion. Secondly, you want to name the OCD. This is really, really important because we're going to externalize the issue. We're going to talk about OCD like it's something outside of your child that the whole family is trying to beat. And that will help your child's self-esteem, their self-image, and when you're attacking the OCD, you're not attacking your child. Now, what are you supposed to do when your child wants to involve you in their ritualistic behavior? Well, for starters, a lot of reassurance is a compulsion in disguise. So when your child is having an intrusive thought, they're going to ask you for reassurance. And so they're going to say, Mom or Dad, I'm having a bad thought, and I want to tell you about it. Now that seems like a pretty innocent thing, but if they have moral OCD, then it's probably more likely a compulsion than a real true need for reassurance. So when you give your child the reassurance, you're actually completing the OCD loop. So confusing, I know. Luckily, I do have videos on all of this stuff. So if you're kind of like, whoa, she's already losing me. She's talking about moral OCD and she's talking about reassurance being a compulsion. I have videos on all of that, and I will leave them below. I also have a playlist on OCD, and if you want, you could just binge watch that and totally understand where OCD is coming from in your kids. But I'm not going to talk about that too much in this video. I just want to do a general how to empower your kids but not their OCD. So figure out whether your child is trying to do a compulsion by getting reassurance, and if that's the case, you're going to want to say to them, I love you, but I'm not talking to, let's say we call it O. I use that a lot with the kids that I work with who are older. We call it O for OCD. Very creative, I know. But you can say something like, tell your O to leave you alone. Or that sounds like your O is bothering you. Or it sounds like your O wants to talk to me. Tell your O that I'm not going to give it a high five and grow it bigger. So you want to respond to your child by identifying and calling out that it's OCD. That's actually really helpful because it lets them know, oh, that was an intrusive thought. That was an OCD thought. And you're not feeding it by giving your child more reassurance. I also recommend that maybe you sit down and brainstorm how many compulsions you're a part of. What do you have to do for your child's OCD and not your child? Because when your child goes into therapy or into any kind of treatment, it's going to be really hard for them to overcome their OCD. And the easiest top layer of beating OCD is your role. And so when families come and see me in my practice, the first thing I do with the families is I say to the mom and the dad or the partners or whoever is around that child, I say, look, you can control whether you're part of the compulsion a lot more than he can control doing a compulsion. So after I educate your child about OCD and they totally understand what it is and how when they do the compulsions, it grows bigger, and we name the OCD, my very next step is to talk to the people around the child and say, you guys are going to start to pull back. Because for you to pull back is going to be very, very simple compared to your child pulling back. And so it's a great first step. And a lot of times it has to be done in small increments, because if you've been doing this stuff for a really long time, it's going to be overwhelming for you to just pull back completely and not be a part of your child's compulsions. So get out a piece of paper, not right now, but get out a piece of paper and brainstorm for about a week. Write down every time you notice that you're doing something for your child's OCD and not your child, jot it down. And then at the end of the week, look at that list. And maybe sit with your child and say, look, okay, these are the 20 things or maybe 200 things that I do for O and not for you. And I love you, but I don't love your O, because your O is destroying you and making you miserable. So let's rank these. And so maybe do like a 1 to 10 scale and say, look, on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being if I didn't do this for you, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And all the way up to 10 being, if you didn't do this for me, Mom, I will flip out. That is going to be very overwhelming. And so then go through your list and just have your child give you a number. Okay, that's a 4. That'd be a 5. That'd be a 1. That'd be a 2. And then make a hierarchy. And so rank them from easiest to hardest. And then what you want to do is go to the top of the list. That was maybe like a 1 or 2, whatever was the smallest for your child, and slowly stop doing those and work down your list. And so as you're working down your list, ideally your child is in therapy or you found some great resources online or in a book, and you're doing some fear hierarchies with your child, and they're going through and working on their list, doing exposure response prevention and challenges. And if you're like, Natasha, seriously, I don't even know what you're talking about, I have videos for that. So you can watch my video on ERP, exposure response prevention, and the way that you work with your child on getting them to beat their OCD. That's not what this video is about though. So your child will be working on that, but you need your own assignment, and this is about you. So make your list and slowly stop doing some of those things. You might be surprised at how much you're doing for your child's OCD and not your child. And when you start highlighting to your child, you know what, I'm not going to grab that door for you because I'm actually grabbing that door for O, and I don't want to help O. So if you don't want to open that door, I guess you're going to have to figure out a different way to open it, but I'm not going to be part of it. Now, they might, and they probably will, use their elbows or use their t-shirt, but you're stepping outside of the compulsion, which is a great first step. They might say, you know what, can you drive around the block again? Because I just want to make sure that we didn't hit anything. And you'll say, you know what, I'm driving. This is my car, so I'm not going to give your O any attention. If when you're driving, you want to do that when you get older, you can, but I'm not doing that. Or if your child says, Mom, can you hand me that again because I didn't like the way that you handed it to me? You can say, I'm going to leave it right here because that sounds like O wants me to hand it back to them, and I'm not going to do that for O. Or your child might say, hey Mom, can you go and clean the bathroom and wipe it down before I go to the bathroom because I am nervous that it's dirty. And you can say, if you want to wipe it down and, make O get bigger, that's your prerogative, but I'm not going to do that anymore because that's helping your O and not you, and I'm not going to do it. If your kids want you to boil stuff or wipe things down before you give it to them to eat, you can say, you know what, from now on, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you the food like I give everyone else food in this house, and if you want it done in a particular way, then you're going to have to prepare it for yourself. Now, having said that, that's a lot. And for some kids, that would be super overwhelming because depending on how long this has been going on in your world, you might be very involved in a lot of compulsive behaviors throughout the day. And if your child has acute OCD, they may not be eating well, they may not be functioning, they might be not able to go around the house, they may not be able to leave the house. OCD can get very debilitating. So it really depends on the severity of your child's OCD. So if your child has mild to moderate OCD and they're able to function outside of the house and their eating isn't affected, it's a lot easier as a parent to start pulling back because you're not impacting their health, you're just upsetting their OCD, which is totally okay to do. If it's impacting your child's ability to eat or to go to the bathroom or to even function or leave the house, then your child has acute OCD and it will be harder for you to pull back because you're going to be worried about your child's nutrition or their ability to go to the bathroom. So hopefully you have a therapist, if that is you that I'm talking to, and you have a lot of professional help, but you can still do this. You can still write a list and you can very slowly, incrementally start to attack the very lower level things on the list that are not as stressful for your child and work your way down. If your child has mild to moderate OCD, you can probably move through this list a lot quicker. So when you are constantly highlighting that's O behavior, or I'm not doing that for O anymore, you really help reduce your child's compulsions very quickly because most kids will incorporate their parents on a lot of their compulsions, and you stepping out of that compulsion will like rock the OCD world in your child. And so OCD will be like, whoa, like all my compulsions are gone. And that gives your child an upper hand to not create new compulsions, but to squash them completely. Now, they can just go ahead and create more compulsions because OCD is insidious like that, but you're at least giving them the upper hand to kind of shake OCD and get it off of its feet a little bit and have some ability to fight it a little bit harder and better. Well, I hope that things are going okay at your house, and I hope that this gave you some ideas on how to empower your child, but not your child's OCD. It's very counterintuitive, and it feels kind of like horrible parenting to not give your child what they need when they're having an emotional breakdown. But unfortunately, OCD is nasty, and it makes us do things for our kids that are actually not helpful to their OCD. So to be a good parent, to be a helpful parent, is to pull back slowly and stop doing those compulsions, even when your child is so upset that you're not doing them. For more information on other topics around OCD, you can look at my OCD playlist on YouTube, or you can listen to my podcast, which is the AT Parenting Survival Podcast. You can find it at iTunes or wherever you consume podcasts. You can also go to my website at anxioustoddlers.com, a website for all ages, and you can find articles, podcasts, YouTube videos all about anxiety and OCD. If you're enjoying these videos and you're finding them helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because that is great feedback for me and for all the people that are going to be thinking about watching my videos. And you can subscribe because these videos come out every Thursday, but life is busy and you might forget, so hit subscribe. Or you can sign up for my newsletter, I'll leave a link below, and that way you'll get an email notifying you, hey, there's a new podcast, there's a new YouTube video about OCD or anxiety. Take care, and I hope you find the sparkle in everything you do.
One, two, three.
Having a child with OCD is not only difficult and devastating for the child, but it takes its toll on the entire family. Watching your child do behaviors that don't make sense to anybody, and not even to your child, can be completely heartbreaking. And most parents don't know what to do or what their role is in how to help. OCD is a really complicated issue, and even a lot of therapists don't understand how to treat OCD. And so as a parent, you might be lost as to where to find support or what you're supposed to do in order to help your child crush their OCD. To make matters worse, many kids hide their OCD from their parents, so their parents don't even realize the extent of the issue.
I know my behavior doesn't make any sense. It's embarrassing. I don't want my parents to know. My parents don't even know half of the rituals I have to do.
being in the dark is the worst thing for your child's OCD. No parent has to sit idly by, clueless about how OCD works and how they can actually help their child, because OCD is very treatable, and most of the approaches can be done very easily in your own home. I created the online class, Parenting a Child with OCD, to help you understand your child and understand OCD, but more importantly, to give you the tools to actually help your child beat OCD at home. You can take the online class at your own pace. Every lesson is there for you the minute you enroll, and you can go through it as fast or slowly as you want to. You can also view the lessons on any device, so you can watch it on a tablet, on the computer, or even on the go on your phone. And every lesson is short and simplistic, so that you don't miss any concept or idea. Not only do you learn exactly how to implement cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure response prevention techniques at home, but you are given 23 handouts and worksheets that you can do with your child to implement the things that I teach you in this class. The class comes with 39 lessons that cover every aspect of OCD, from the origins of OCD to what themes to look for within your child, how to talk to your child about their OCD, how to talk to their siblings about OCD, and most importantly, exactly how to carry out exercises and challenges that will crush your child's OCD at home. OCD only gets worse as time goes by. Don't waste any more time. You can do things to help your child right away. Take the class, learn the lessons, and implement strategies and challenges at home and start seeing some improvement right away. You know your child the best. You see them struggling. You don't have to feel hopeless anymore. There are skills you can teach them. Let me show you how. You can enroll today at anxioustoddlers.teachable.com.